Gregory Wright Custer's Alive Talks, Episode Number 1, Blending Together a Mashup, Audio. So to write this cast is one thing, but to direct it is another, so we will just take everything nice and easy, slow and steady. You see, Custer's Alive was probably one of my greatest books, and I venture to say that Custer's Alive Talks is a really good project you should see and hear. And it is important for all audiences because in this production we will blend together an ultimate but complete mashup of many different parts of the book from the work itself. This material is exclusive, so let's begin. Made Very, beginning 3 years ago, nearly a year after a friend of mine and I wrote the first book of Custer's Life, I went ahead and recorded half of the book and put it on YouTube. That's all I was able to record for the book. Recently I gave it to an editor and I am currently waiting to get it back so that I can record it again.
My name is George Croson. You may have heard from me before on this channel. What I'm here to represent is Custer's Alive Talks. This episode on the broadcast called Motivational Speaking with and by Gregory Wright. The reason why I'm doing this is because I have agreed to record with a friend.
Now, to start us off, I assume you want me to begin, so I will. Okay, first off, I will read parts of the stories, and I will put them together, resulting in a mashup, and I will do that right now. Okay. Custer's Alive, The Adventures of the Lost, Number 3, Chapter 2, What Comes Around, Goes Around. When Jacob had woke up the next morning, he had felt really strange as if no one had knew him. The thought of him being forgotten made him feel like he didn't belong.
Custer's Alive, The Adventure of the Lost 3, but it's mine. When Jacob had woken up the next morning, Boomer had been lying on his lap, chewing at a milk bone, which had been glazed in his own thick and sticky like sloppiness directed that was.
That was the second part, everyone. I am glad we are off to a great start. Now let's jump ahead a few chapters. Custer's Alive, The Adventures of the Lost, Book Number 3, Chapter 7, The State of an Enlightenment.
Nearly a year has passed. It was 1847 for the map. And one thing is, a lot of things had been changing since the time that we had decided to go away. More like we had been cheering, but not in a bad way. We wisdom, developed wisdom at a young age and revealed quite frequently to the place where we wanted to go, at least. And one thing is, we stayed in South Dakota. As for South Dakota, that's where we had lived. We had lived in Custer, a place located just 50 miles from the Little Sioux City River, in a place located just 21 miles from Prairie, the state's capital.
It was hard saying if we were going to return home anytime soon, and by home, we were now in Custer State Park, a place that was said to have great weather in the month of July, as July had brought flaming temperatures, 81 degrees and higher. Thank you guys for watching, listening to Gregory Wright, Custer's Alive, Talks Episode 1, Blending Together a Mashup on G the Writer Audio Network. Thanks.